15 years ago, if you heard the words mass media, you probably immediately thought of television, newspapers, magazines, and the radio. But today, if you made a list of the mass media you use, you would have to add newer technologies such as smartphones, blogs, social media sites, and the internet. In today's world, we are surrounded by technology that allows us to communicate with others. And of course, technology has brought us some wonderful things, and I personally wouldn't want to live without it. But all these new advances bring us dangers that we should be aware of. There's a lot of violence in TV shows, and many people worry about its effect on us. In addition to making us violent, TV can also make us passive. Third, using the media can become very addictive. 15 years ago, if you heard the words mass media, you probably immediately thought of television, newspapers, magazines, and the radio. But today, if you made a list of the mass media you use, you would have to add newer technologies such as smartphones, blogs, social media sites, and the internet. In today's world, we are surrounded by technology that allows us to communicate with others. And of course, technology has brought us some wonderful things, and I personally wouldn't want to live without it. But all these new advances bring us dangers that we should be aware of. Let's begin by discussing 3 of these dangers: violence, passivity, and addiction. There's a lot of violence in TV shows, and many people worry about its effect on us. For example, almost every home in the United States has a color television, and according to a recent study, TV is on in the average household for 7 hours and 37 minutes every day. And many people are afraid that children and adolescents are especially susceptible to this violence. In 1993, for example, a young boy jumped out of a window after seeing a superhero do the same thing on TV while he was chasing an enemy. And what about the movie where kids set a subway booth on fire? Some teenagers saw that movie and they did the same thing. Tragically, the man working at the booth died as a result of the fire. In addition to making us violent, TV can also make us passive. You've probably heard the term couch potato. It refers to a person who daydreams for hours in front of the TV. When we are in this passive state, we may not be able to distinguish between fantasy and reality, and may make bad decisions about important things in our lives. Third, using the media can become very addictive. For example, how many internet users can say they quickly go online and find what they need and get off again? That's just not the case for most of us who wander through cyberspace, clicking here and there and wasting a lot of time in the process. If you check your email more than 3 or 4 times a day, you might want to ask yourself if you really need all that communication. And cell phones, which these days can also be used to go online, are highly addictive as well. The fourth danger we should be concerned about is the increase in advertising. You see, the media is not only interested in providing information or entertainment, but also selling space or time to advertisers. You used to be able to enjoy a TV show or relax and read a magazine, and there wasn't too much advertising. Now, however, it seems that advertising is the main goal. Did you realize that the average consumer is exposed to 3,000 advertising messages a day? The content of a TV program or a magazine is just an excuse or a wrapping for the advertising. There's an essential marketing relationship among the media, the advertiser, and the user, and it exists whatever the media. Even print media, which is one of the least technological forms of communication, has a high percentage of ads. On TV, of course, we're used to being bombarded by endless commercials every 8 minutes. Many of us use our remote control to zap out the advertising with the mute button, or simply channel surf to find some place we can escape from the ads. But the advertisers have found many ways to get their message across to you anyway. They use what is called product placement, which means that they put products right in the middle of a show. For example, the hero of the show might be drinking a particular soft drink like Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper, or he might be wearing a pair of shoes with the name Nike or Adidas. You can't escape from this form of advertising unless you just turn off your set. The problem is not just that we are being bombarded by advertising, but that the media is invading our privacy. Advertisers are more and more interested in getting private information about individuals. Every time you use your credit card, you're giving away information about yourself. Advertisers have the ability to gather statistical data about people like you, potential consumers. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever gotten junk mail from a company you've never heard of? Well, where did they get your address? Have you ever gotten a phone call during dinner from some company trying to sell you something? Where did they get your telephone number? Well, information about you can be compiled and sold to other companies, and advertisers can study what you buy, where you buy it, and how much of it you buy, and figure out the best way to make you buy more. On the internet, many websites are working extra hard to collect information about you. You can be tracked if you make a few visits to any website, and the data can be used to learn more about your habits, interests, and other behavior. We are surrounded everywhere by a message that tells us that we can be better, more successful, more popular, and altogether happier if we just have more. I believe we need to step back once in a while and ask ourselves if this message is true. Is it true? Are we what we buy? What if we couldn't buy anything, ever? Who would we be?